provided by Thomas Allgaier and Frennis, based on the most relevant posts on LinkedIn about account-based marketing in calendar weeks 34 and 35. Frennis is a B2B market research company working with enterprises to optimize their campaigns with account and executive insights far beyond AI. Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we unpack the most critical insights from your curated sources. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the dynamic world of account-based marketing.
That's right. And for this deep dive, we're really focusing in on the top ABM trends, the practical strategies people are actually talking about and using right now, all pulled from what we saw buzzing on LinkedIn these past couple of weeks.
Yeah, expect some, actionable takeaways, maybe a few perspectives you hadn't considered, and just a clearer view on how B2B marketers are sharpening their ABM approaches.
Exactly. So if you're a B2B marketing pro aiming to really refine your strategy and drive some real impact, well, stick around.
We've sifted through the noise to pull out the key stuff. Let's get into it.
Okay, first things first, the foundation, right? Strategy and getting that go-to-market alignment sorted. Seems like this is where things often start, or maybe where they can go wrong.
Oh, definitely. And one really interesting point came from Piyush D. Bamar. He pointed out that, ABM is vital, but a lot of startups actually stumble because they jump into it way too early.
Too early. So it's not that ABM itself is the problem, but the timing.
Precisely. They're just not ready. They haven't nailed down the basics yet. Piyush actually suggested a readiness scorecard could be invaluable to prevent that premature leap.
That makes a lot of sense. Sort of a pre-flight check. What kinds of things would that scorecard even look at?
Well, things like, is your ICP really solid? Is your sales process repeatable? Do you actually have clear messaging that resonates? It forces that honest look before you invest time and money. Right. And building on that idea of being ready, Tyler Plays really hammered home that ABM failures often aren't about the tech stack. It's because people skip defining a clear go-to-market goal first.
Absolutely. Tyler was crystal clear that GTM goal dictates everything else. Which accounts even make the list? What's the right message? How does sales prioritize? Where does the budget actually go?
So without that goal, you're just kind of, spraying and praying, but with accounts.
Pretty much. You end up targeting what he called nice-to-have accounts, not the strategic must-haves. You're just not focused.
Okay, so start smart, be deliberate. Joshua Ritchie echoed this too, didn't he? Saying ABM is really a mindset shift.
Yeah. He strongly advises against jumping straight into expensive tech and trying to scale immediately. His advice, start small, pick a handful of accounts, do everything manually, learn first.
Learn what works, then automate. Makes sense.
And connecting this thread, Karina Owens mentioned something similar, noting that many mid-market companies really struggled with those big all-in-one ABM platforms.
Right, because the platform isn't magic.
Exactly. Success, she stressed, hinges on really understanding your ICP, having that clear sales process, and getting real alignment across marketing, sales, maybe even product. It's about setting up the whole system right, not just buying a tool and hoping for the best.
Okay, so theme one, get the strategy, the GTM, the readiness right first. Don't rush the foundations.
You got it. Get your house in order. All right, so once that strategy is solid, teams are aligned, the next big piece is obviously targeting, making sure you're going after the right accounts and, crucially, the right people inside them. We saw some great insights on refining the ICP here.
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting, I think. Mason Cosby asked a fantastic question, basically. Is your target account list lying to you? Which is provocative.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? He talked about how lists can go stale, maybe because the ICP hasn't been updated, or there's sales bias creeping in, or you're misreading why old deals closed.
So what's the fix then, according to Mason? How do you get an honest list?
It boils down to using real current data. He suggests reprioritizing based on win-loss analysis, feedback from customer success, maybe even pulling in finance data to see who really represents your best opportunities now.
Fewer accounts, but better fits. Quality over quantity again.
Exactly. Leads to much higher conversion. And then going deeper than just which accounts, Henrik Beckman challenged the common obsession with only targeting the C-suite.
Ah, the C-suite obsession. I've seen that. So what's his take?
He argues that big enterprise deals, they aren't really won just in the CEO's office. They're shaped, influenced, sometimes even blocked by the day-to-day users, the gatekeepers, the senior folks who aren't C-level but are critical influencers.
He called it the lunchroom method, right? Kind of paints a picture.
Yeah, it does. It's about mapping everyone who has a hand in the deal, understanding their individual needs and influence, not just focusing on the top titles. You ignore those folks at your peril.
Okay, so if you're mapping all these different people, how do you actually reach them effectively? Miles B. had a practical tip for LinkedIn, I remember.
Yes, a really useful one. He suggested exporting third-party company lists, maybe from your ABM platform, and uploading those directly into LinkedIn Campaign Manager.
And the benefit there is?
Higher match rates, often over 90%, he said. Plus, they can be dynamic, so you can then layer on filters for location, seniority, skills, really refining your targeting within those key accounts to reach that whole buying committee.
Nice. Very actionable. But even with all that, Daniel Shaw brought us back down to earth a bit, highlighting a really basic problem, just poor quality account lists messing things up from the start.
Yeah, it's kind of shocking, but apparently still common. He mentioned seeing lists with companies that don't even exist anymore, like Lehman Brothers or Enron.
Wow, seriously?
Seriously, or super broad targets like U.S. government all, with no segmentation. It just highlights that fundamental need. Your list has to be accurate and well-defined. If the foundation is bad, everything else crumbles.
Get the foundations right. Seems to be a recurring theme here. All right, let's shift gears to the fuel for engagement. Signals and intent. Knowing when an account is actually ready to talk and what they might want to hear. How do marketers figure that out?
Well, Debjit Sen put it perfectly. In ABM, timing is everything. Most accounts are not ready to buy all the time.
Yeah.
His focus is on identifying what he calls buying triggers.
Buying triggers.
Ow.
Like major shifts happening within the target company.
Exactly. Big stuff. Maybe they missed a revenue target. Maybe there's a new exec hire in a key area. Perhaps an acquisition just happened. Or they're expanding into a new market. Spotting these moments opens up a crucial window.
A window for what? Just reaching out?
For reaching out with relevance. The key, Debjit says, is building your messaging and your content around that specific trigger. You're not just saying hi. You're addressing an immediate visible need or opportunity. Much more powerful.
Makes total sense. So how do you actually find these triggers and other intent signals? Kyle Dixon talked about a multi-layered approach.
Yeah, he stressed not relying on just one type of signal. He outlined using your own first-party data website visits, content downloads, product usage, that kind of thing.
Okay, stuff you already have.
Right. Then layer on second-party data interactions on partner sites like G2 reviews maybe. And finally, third-party data, things like technographics, knowing their tech stack, or tracking public data like funding announcements.
So combining signals from different sources gives you a fuller picture.
Definitely. No single source tells the whole story. You need that composite view to really understand intent.
Okay, so you've got these signals. How does that inform outreach? Philip Adilic had an interesting take with warm-bound strategies on LinkedIn. What's that about?
Warm-bound. It's kind of bridging inbound and outbound. The idea is to warm up the contacts before you hit them with a direct sales pitch.
How do you warm them up?
Philip suggested uploading your target list to LinkedIn, layering on job titles, and then running video ads, maybe thought leadership content. The goal is to get multiple impressions, like 5 or more, build some familiarity and maybe trust before you send that connection request or in-mail.
So they would actually recognize your name or company when you do reach out, less cold.
Precisely. It's about earning that attention. And then taking this even further, George P. shared a really cool experiment with a custom AI agent.
AI, okay. What did this agent do?
Instead of just finding single leads, it mapped what he called a web of connected signals across the whole organization. It looked for multiple stakeholders showing intent collectively.
So not just one person clicking a link, but seeing activity across a buying group.
Exactly. It gives a much clearer, more holistic view of whether the account as a whole is actually ready to buy. This is huge for defining marketing qualified accounts, MQAs, moving beyond just individual MQLs. It's a much better reflection of how complex B2B deals actually happen. And that leads us nicely into AI. It's definitely not just hype anymore, is it? It seems like it's genuinely changing how ABM gets done, especially around personalization.
Yeah, absolutely. Dinesh Ravindran even coined a term for it, APM Account-Personalised Marketing. He described it as ABM with X-ray vision.
I like that analogy. What's the core idea behind APM?
It's about tailoring every single touch point, not just to the account, but to the individual decision maker within that account. Recognizing that, the CFO cares about different things than the head of engineering, even when they're buying the same solution.
Right. ABM gets you to the right company. APM figures out what each person in the buying committee actually needs to hear. It gets super granular.
But how deep does that personalization need to go?
Yeah.
John Azizel had a warning about superficial personalization, right?
Yeah, he cautioned against those 1.1 landing pages that maybe just swap out the company name in the header. That's not really personalization, is it?
Doesn't feel very deep, no. So what is real personalization then?
He argues it requires proper, upfront, account-level research. You need to dig in, uncover their specific pain points, their strategic goals. Then you write copy, select case studies, design content that speaks directly to those challenges. It's about showing you truly understand their world.
That takes more work, but probably way more effective.
Absolutely. And this is where AI can really help scale that deep personalization. Margaret Ray laid out 5 practical ways AI is being used in ABX programs today.
Okay, let's hear them. What are people actually doing with AI now?
Well, think predicting which accounts are in market using intent data platforms like 6sense their AI crunches signals to tell you when someone's likely ready, crafting personalized emails using AI tools like ChatGPT or similar agents.
Like the content generation piece.
Yep. Dynamic landing pages using tools like Mutiny.ai that adapt based on who's visiting. Real-time call coaching for sales reps using Gong or Chorus, giving instant feedback. And even using customer success AI like Gainsight to flag usage changes that might signal an upsell opportunity.
Wow, so it's really touching multiple parts of the process already.
It really is, which is probably why Brandon Redlinger took such a strong stance, basically saying if you're not using AI in your ABM now, you're kind of insane, was his word.
Strong words. Why so emphatic?
Because AI can do things humans just can't, at scale and speed. Like updating audiences and ad bids in real time as intent signals fluctuate, connecting disparate intent topics to identify the actual decision makers, optimizing ad spend way more efficiently, and, crucially, routing those high intent signals straight to sales within minutes, along with all the context they need.
The speed and insight are just game-changing that.
Totally transformative.
Okay, so we've talked strategy, targeting, signals, AI, but how do you actually build the operational engine for all this? Choosing the right tools, setting up the processes. What did we see there?
There was a fantastic, really practical example from Camille Rexton. He showed how you can build a full funnel account lifecycle model cost-effectively using basically HubSpot, Google Sheets, and maybe under $2,000 in other tools.
Seriously. HubSpot and Sheets, that's pretty accessible.
Totally. He detailed defining clear stages, like 7 of them, from identified all the way to expansion, building a scoring model using multiple signals, LinkedIn views, intent data, website visits, and importantly, defining clear ownership and handoffs between teams at each stage.
That just perfectly illustrates the point that ABM is a strategy, not just a tool.
Exactly. It really underscores that. It's about the process and the orchestration first.
But okay, if you're looking at specific tools to help execute that strategy, Brigitte Ruha and Johnny Franksick offered some suggestions.
Yeah, they shared a list of about 10 ABM tools they thought were worth checking out, things like Ocean.io for finding lookalike accounts, or 6sense again for predicting buyer readiness using AI.
And their advice on how to choose.
Pretty straightforward.
Huh?
Pick maybe one tool from each key category like data, intent, engagement, run a focused pilot, maybe 4 weeks. Then rigorously compare the results, the response rates, the quality of insights you get. Don't just buy based on a demo.
Test and learn. Seems sensible. Which ties into what Nemanja Zivkovic was saying. Don't rush out and buy big ABM platforms before you've nailed the basics.
Right. He was quite direct about it. You don't need the super expensive software first. You need a clear ICP, sharp messaging, a good offer, and crucially, someone who can actually sell and close the deal.
He warned against over-automated outbound too, didn't he? The stuff that just feels like spam.
Yeah, exactly. His point was that tech should help you build better connections, not just blast out generic messages that annoy people. Quality over quantity again.
So thinking about more modern, maybe more adaptable tools, Steve Armenti talked about how platforms like Clay are being used for what he called ClayBM.
Yeah, that was interesting. It highlights how people are using these more flexible data enrichment and automation tools for ABM purposes. He mentioned using Clay for building really robust target lists, scraping custom signals using AI for enrichment, mapping buying groups, and driving custom GTM automations.
So it shows that you can get really sophisticated using these more adaptable tools, maybe without being locked into one specific ABM vendor's ecosystem.
Exactly. It gives you that flexibility to build a stack and process that's perfectly tailored to your specific strategy.
Okay, we have covered a lot of ground today. From getting that strategic foundation right, refining targeting, leveraging signals and AI, to building the operational backbone. But maybe to wrap up, there was that great analogy from Kathleen Mitchell, B2B marketing as fine dining.
Yeah, and the buying committee as a potential dinner party from hell where everyone wants something different. It's so relatable.
It really is. And it keys up a really interesting question for everyone listening to think about.
Right. The question is, what if you really leaned into that? What if you focused on orchestrating those truly individualized, like Michelin star experiences for each person in that buying committee instead of just serving up the standard corporate catering?
Going beyond the generic.
Exactly. How might that commitment to deep individual understanding and personalization fundamentally reshape not just your deal sizes or how fast they close, but how your entire market actually perceives your solution? Could you become less of a vendor and more of that trusted advisor who actually helps them navigate their own internal complexities?
Something to definitely chew on. Well, that's all the time we have for this deep dive into the latest account-based marketing trends we saw on LinkedIn. Definitely some actionable insights there, from really interrogating your target lists to embracing AI for that next level personalization.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, remember, new editions drop every 2 weeks. You can also check out our other deep dives covering field marketing, channel and partner marketing, AI in B2B, MarTech, go-to-market, and social selling. Lots to explore.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Deep Dive. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss our next exploration into the world of strategic B2B marketing. Until next time.